a dagger to the heart of Ottawa's playoff hopes.
Clean pass for Dale Weise. Moving in, he scores!
Out of the attack for Flynn, shot, scores!
Dale Weise gets the game's first goal. Weise is loose, he shoots, he scores!
Dale Weise parked in front on the redirect, tipped it by Bishop, and the Canadians get the opening goal.
Fires one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin' the Biscuit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Slingin' the Biscuit podcast. Today's guest, as a part of our summer interview series, he has been probably one of the first ever pros that I got an experience with to understand how good an NHL player is. They call him the Dutch Gretzky. 500 games played in the National League. The pride of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Dale Weise, fourth round pick in 2008, right?
Oh, good man.
The New York
good
Rangers.
Man. Yeah, there you go.
Not bad, eh?
Very good.
How quickly do those games go by now that you're sitting here?
You know, when you're in it, it seems like it took forever. Like 1 month would seem like forever. And now when I look back, I'm like, man, how am I retired? How did I, play 500 games? How did I go through this whole pro career? I still feel so young, and it just flew by. And
What a blur.
I hate the cliche where the guys always said, like, you got to enjoy the ride. I'm one of those guys telling guys to enjoy the ride now because it really does fly by.
Well, I'll say the same thing. Enjoy it with your kids. And I don't think you need anyone telling you that because that goes by pretty quick too now that you're a father of four.
It does. It does. Like I get emotional sometimes when I like coaching my 13-year-old son because he's 12, but you kind of you go through these tournaments and you remember I used to, the most core memories for me were like travel tournaments with my dad or my mom, and you're in the hotel. It had nothing to do with hockey. And so I really appreciate the time with my kids now. And you never know when, as they continue to get older and get in AA, you can't coach your kid or whatever it is. You never know how much time you got left. So I appreciate when people say it. I definitely don't take it lightly. And I'm really enjoying that part of it.
Well, I'm curious to know, having the experience you've had in the NHL, obviously people are going to look at you when it's like, oh, we've got an NHL out there, when it comes to coaching and whatnot. How do you approach that? Is it stress, pressure, whatever it may be? Because not only are you coaching your kids, you're coaching other kids too, and you come with a little bit of clout.
Yeah, yes. I think there's a little bit of pressure. I take a little bit of pressure on my back. I think people expect their kid to be developing, almost at a lot more rapid pace when it's under me. But again, I'll sit there and be like, it's kids hockey, guys. Like, my number one goal here is to make sure your kid leaves at the end of the season and says, man, that was the best season I had. Not, well, I really developed my backhand or I got so much better as a player. Like, that's fine too, and I'm there for that. But I want kids to leave and say, like, wow, that was the most fun I had playing in a year. And I think successfully I'm probably about 99 out of 100 on that one. So that's what I'm going for.
At what point in your career did you realize that the business side is a bigger part than the fun is of playing in the league?
Great question. Probably 2016 when I signed my 4-year deal. Immediately for me, it was like, okay, I worked so hard. I wanted to get this big deal, and I got this big deal, and I was all excited about it. And you get there, and I was probably healthy scratched 30, 35 times in the first year. And you're looking around, you're like, this team just signed me to a 4-year deal. Like, what is going on here? And I think that was when it really sank into me. It was like, you're just a piece of meat. It doesn't matter, who you are, what your name is. If you're not playing well for me today, or, if you're not living up to the expectations that they have for you, you're just, another piece of meat in the cycle. And I think for me, personally in 2016, that's when it kind of started to turn for me. And I started looking at, okay, this is a business. I totally get it. Remove my emotions from it. And I think mentally, that's when I started looking, okay, what am I going to do when I'm done playing hockey? That's kind of when it sat in around the same time there.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because we've talked to numerous guys about the transition of moving out of hockey, and you've had an easier time than a lot of guys. And I'll ask you the same question I've asked a bunch of them. Do you wish there was more help from the PA when it came to guys transitioning out?
Yes, 100%. I think the PA drops the ball on that one. I've said it many times. So does your agents, though, too. There's got to be some responsibility. And you would, it's a weird for me. So I had my agent from the time I was 19 years old. I retired at 32, 33, and the day I stopped sending him checks every month was the day he stopped contacting me. And as sad as that is, I've known this guy half my life, and unfortunately, that's when you realize too that's kind of part of the business side, and it's kind of a sad thing when you look at it like that. But that's kind of the nature of the business too.
Okay, another question we ask all the guys is, when you got that first big check, where'd you go? What'd you spend it on?
First, like when I signed when I was 20, or from my
both. Why not?
Yeah, it's a cool feeling for me. So, it's funny. You go from junior when I was in Swift Current, you're making $160 every 2 weeks, and my signing bonus was I got $210,000 when I signed. So you got it in 370 checks each year. So, I was American money at that time. I think the dollar was at 2008, the dollar was 140. So, it was the biggest check I've ever seen at that point in my life. And I was like, I gotta get a car. I want to do this. I want to do that. I ended up getting it was a 2007 Lincoln Mark LT. It was just a beautiful truck. My dad still has it.
Nice.
Only drives it in the summer for some reason. I don't know why he doesn't drive in the winter.
That's a trophy.
And I know. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, Dad, just drive it, man. If you need to get another truck, I'll get you one. But that was cool. And then when I signed my 4-year deal, I had a pretty decent sized signing bonus there too, and I ended up paying off my cabin at that point, and that was kind of a cool feeling. I could have did something cooler with it, but that was a smart move.
No, now it looks back and you're like, that was pretty cool and pretty smart.
That was a smart move at that time. Yeah, Ferrari or something would have been better, but that was fun.
How does today Dale Weise in his prime, the best time he was playing, how does he get along in today's NHL?
Oh, another good question. I don't know. I watch a lot of the game now, and it's so individual now. And what I mean by that is like every single guy is like, I want to beat you one-on-one. I see it at the minor hockey level, and I see it, every day in the NHL when I watch now. It's like, I got to beat you one-on-one. I got to beat you in one-on-one. Like I don't know where I would have fitted, but I would have loved to have the opportunity because I think, end of my career, even 2018, 2019, the game was starting to go, okay, we need 4 lines. There was you still had a couple of guys slugging it out, but majority of the teams were switching to a 4-line team that could play. And now you see how important it is to have 4. You got to have 4 lines. There's no such thing as enforcers or a fourth line that plays 5 minutes. Like I went to the Rangers Jets game and I watched Matt Rempe play 6 minutes, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like you just can't win like that. You can't win the playoffs, and so I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I'd love to see a Dale Weise in his prime coming into the league right now. I'd love to see what it was like. Maybe I got to make a comeback.
If you had to make a prediction, though, how would you stack up physicality-wise, skill-wise, if you were still playing the show today?
Yeah, I think, I continue to get better every single year. I made a point every single summer. I was like, okay, I'm going to come work on my skill. I'm going to work on my skill. I'm always going to try to get better. I worked with Dave Cameron probably after my first year in the NHL. Here in Winnipeg, and then continue to work with him every single year. I got better. I think I'd be pretty good. I think I'd be a rare breed because I don't think there's as many physical guys anymore. Like there's not a lot of hitting, but the game is so fast, right? You get in the playoffs, I think there's still physicality, but you watch regular season in and out, there isn't a lot of physical play, isn't a lot of fighting, which that's fine. I think it has its place, but I think I would be a valuable commodity now.
If you're loving the episodes and the interviews so far,
I am. One
of the downsides of doing an independent show where no questions, no stones are unturned is sponsorships. And if you want to help us keep the lights on to keep more interviews like this coming, you can sign up to be a YouTube channels member or a Patreon member. It's $5. You get every single interview we have in this series, Patreon perks, exclusive merch, free merch, and more. And the whole list of interviews, you can wait throughout the entire summer or get them all now. And the list goes Chris Mason, Matt Murray, Jamie McLennan, Dale Weise, Jamie Phillips, Jordan Schmaltz, Matt Hackett, best-selling author Rich Cooper, professional divorce lawyer for professional athletes Ido Walney, Brent Sopel, Bill Ranford, Navy SEAL TC Cummings, my friend Matt Murray, my former teammates Justin Schmidt, Trevor Babin, and more. $5, you get every single episode, perks, and more. What are you waiting for?
And Trav's mom's phone number. So $5 well spent.
You got to sign up for the top tier for that. You think that it's hurting the game as far as like that lack of physicality, like the hitting, the fighting, the roughness, the toughness?
Yeah, I don't want to be the guy that's like, well, back in my day, it wasn't that long ago, but like,
you've earned that. You can say that.
I hate when guys do it, but like when I watch the game now, and I think it's great, right? Like the game is as fast as it's ever been, it's as skilled as it's ever been, but there's just no like animosity anymore. Like. Nobody's chirping anyone, and I'll say it from like minor hockey. There's like the competitiveness is kind of gone from the game. It's like Now it's just an all-star game. It's so skilled, and when I watch the NHL, it's like I want to see some hatred out there, and like, you know, love them or hate them, but you watch the Tkachuk brothers, like the whole world was watching that, and like, why? Because it's entertaining. Like, it's different. You don't see it that much anymore. So I'd like to see a little more hatred, a little more guys getting under guys' skin. Like, it's part of the game that I miss. I don't enjoy I shouldn't say that. I enjoy watching the game. I think it's so skilled now, but I want to watch some games where there's some rivalry and some guys going at it.
Did you find there was a difference? I mean, you had the I think it's fortunate to be able to play on a handful of different teams, but when you were playing for 06 teams in comparison to maybe some of these newer teams, was there a difference in culture in the locker room?
I was very fortunate to be on some really, really good teams that had amazing culture. You know, I came into the league in Vancouver a year after they went to the Stanley Cup final. We won the President's Trophy my first year. That core group of players, you know, like Manny Malhotra, Luongo, Sammy Salo, Kessler, Bieksa, Burroughs, like Alex Edler was a younger guy, but he was pretty big in the league. Like, just, I was so fortunate and almost couldn't understand how good that culture was for making everybody feel a part of the team. Like, you know, I joke around with some guys last weekend. Vancouver, we'd get on the road, we'd go play a game. Maybe we fly somewhere, we get in there at 12 o'clock. We get to the hotel, maybe practice next day. Sedins would be the guys leading the charge, being like, "Hey, boys, go get changed. Everybody on the bus in 15 minutes." Whole team would go out together, go have some drinks. We have some fun. Like, I would get on other teams where it's like everybody's like whispering to their one buddy, like, "Where are we going for dinner?" Like, and it was just so cliquey. Like, Philly, to me, it was, you know, I went from Chicago in 2015. Again, another incredible culture. Like, you see why they won just by the people that they had there. And I went to Philly, and I was, you know, talking to my dad, talking to my brother. Within weeks, I was like, man, no wonder this team hasn't won. You could just feel the difference. You could feel the culture. Two guys leading the charge there were, you know, Claude, Giroux, Jake Voracek, who were tremendous players, top 10 scorers, great talent, but not guys that were, in my opinion, really bringing a team together, really wanting to win.
Sound like they're missing like a real leader.
Yeah, to you know, like they were great players, those two, and tremendous to watch. But kind of the guys that, like, you know, you're in a 6-1 game, you're winning 6-1. He's got 4 points. Coach shows the fourth line out on the power play with 2 minutes left, and he's looking at the coach like, "Come on," like just one of those guys. Like, you just create such a toxic environment when you do stuff like that. Like, that would never have been the case on Chicago or Vancouver, and, you know, we had good teams in Montreal. Like, everybody wanted everybody to win, and it's you could feel the difference right away.
You feel almost like you have like a team where teams within the teams. Everybody's pulling on like 4 separate ropes versus just one. You mean?
Yeah. Like that was Philly when I got there too, and it was a disaster from day one. And you could see they're still in the turmoil. This is, you know, almost 10 years later now, where it's just they haven't figured it out, and I don't know what the answer is for them, but you just gotta, I mean, it starts at the top, right? Like, and I'm not talking management or that, like, I'm talking on your team. Like, your captain, your head guys that are pulling the charge, they set the tone, and that they kind of steer your team. It makes such a big difference.
I'm curious to know about the time in Montreal. Like, when you sign with the CH, there's an expectation that comes with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, I grew up the biggest Montreal Canadiens fan, so when I got traded there, it was kind of like a nice restart for me. It was, you know, I broke in the league in Vancouver. Torts comes over. You know, that's a story for another day. But,
no, that's a story for today.
That's a story we can get to. But, you know, he comes over. It wasn't working out for me. I went over to Montreal, and I don't know. It was just it was like the excitement was back in my game. Like, going to the rink every day was exciting. It was just such a different feel from Vancouver, which was, you know, both Canadian cities. It should have the same vibe. But to me, yeah, you can't beat Montreal. The fans, you can be driving in your car and people going crazy on the road, or like, it's just another level there.
You talked about Torts. Now, there's a situation where I feel like that was the old guard who was still trying to shove a round peg into a square hole, right?
Yeah.
And what happened this past season in Philly, I think, you know, it kind of speaks to what you're saying, where they were still trying to go with that old school mentality, and you dealt with them not once but twice.
Yeah. And this is a crazy story. So I had him in New York when I was coming up. Tom Rennie was there for my first 2 years when I was in the minors. I really liked Tom, a lot of respect for him. And then Torts comes in, and it's not that we didn't get along, but I remember going in. This might have been my third pro season. I had a really good year my second year pro. I got almost 30 goals. I was probably the top scoring guy 25 and under in the American Hockey League. I had 130 PIMs. Like I was ready for the NHL at that point. I let him know that too when he was cutting me. I was like, man, I should be on your team. And he loved it too. Like I could tell he was excited. I was like, I'm better than this guy, better than this guy, better than this guy. And he's like, well, you didn't fight. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I didn't fight, but I probably had a point a game in 5 exhibition games. I had 3 goals. Like I had 30 goals last year as a 21-year-old in the American Hockey League and 140 PIMs. Like I can fight. I fight. There's no like, I was trying to show you I can play. I'm trying to make the team. And he's like, well, you didn't fight. It's like, okay. And
there's that old school mentality, right?
You know, and that was 2009, 2010, whatever it was. You know, let's fast forward to Vancouver. And I said it to the media before he got hired because I thought, absolutely, there's no way he's coming on this team. So Vigneault gets fired, and I'm getting calls from the media like, well, there's John Tortorella's, rumored to be getting the job in Vancouver. And I literally said it. Stupid. I was young, 22, 23 years old. I said, no way. I said, he's not a fit for this team. Like I said, the guys I just mentioned on Vancouver, older team, kind of like controlled the locker room, that they just wouldn't fly with a guy like that. Like I knew it.
Yeah, you were kind of right.
I wish the GM would have asked me. Like I would have saved his job. Like, you know, Mike Gillis should have came up and said, you know, you had him. Give me some feedback on him. But no, brought him in. Absolute disaster. He was playing the Sedins and Kessler like 27 minutes a night. Sedin's are on the penalty kill, blocking shots. Like it was just a disaster from day one. And I called it. Didn't work then, buried the team. I don't think he made it out of a year in Vancouver. And it just keeps getting recycled. And whoever he went to Columbus, whatever, they had a little bit of success. And then, you know, they got to bring him into Philly. They got to get someone harder. It was like, I was so blown away they brought him into Philly. I played with Daniel Briere in Montreal. And Michel Therrien was like, you know, a very hard-nosed, demanding. And Briere hated him as a player. And now as management, you're bringing in a coach like that to your players. It didn't make sense to me. I was kind of shocked that he did it, but again, I'm not shocked that he's out the door. And it's like, I think John Tortorella's, I really enjoy him as a guy, like away from the rink. I think he's a great person. I'd love to have beers and like, I totally respect him, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And there's no, like, he can't be somewhere longer than a year or two. It just runs thin.
Well, I find it fascinating how, and I'm just starting to make the connection now, how you talk about how today's NHL is very individual. It's less of a team mentality. And it's almost that perspective from what I've noticed, where a coach now doesn't go in and blanket coach. He's coaching each individual guy because they all have different personalities and they all get motivated in different ways.
Yeah.
And it almost seems to be like the way I'm coaching you in the locker room is the same way you're playing out on the ice.
And you can't, like, you know, you talk about blanket coaching. That's literally how every coach did it up until about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, give or take like a John Cooper or something. Like that was it. It was like, I'm going to coach this way and that's it. Like, you know, I had Claude Julien when I went back for my second stint in Montreal, and it was like, talk about a guy blanket coaching. Like there was no different strategy. It was like, this is the way I coach. This is it. The guy wouldn't even call lines when we were in Montreal. Like, be sitting on the bench wondering who's going. And like we had too many men penalties every second game. And it was like, I think I said it on Spit and Chicklets and like everyone was kind of laughing about it, but I was like, it's true. He literally would not call the lines. And it's like, you know, you look at the guys that are having success. I look at a guy like John Cooper and I would have loved to play with this guy, play for him, sorry. And you just hear the players talk about him. You know, it's not a lie. Like you can see when you're listening to players talk, you're like, yeah, he really doesn't like his coach. He's just, you know, putting on a front in front of everybody. When you see guys talk about John Cooper, it's like, you know, you can't fake that. You see the like behind the scenes stuff when at the Four Nations, like it was just so good. So like, especially now, I don't want to say kids are getting softer now or the younger guys that are coming in.
They're different.
It's different. You got to approach it different. You got to take in, you know, nowadays, 20-year-old comes in, he doesn't like you as a coach. He's like, they're getting rid of the coach before they're getting rid of him. Like he's picking where they're playing. It's just such a different reality now where guys call the shot a lot more. So it's interesting. Interesting to see where it goes.
Do you feel like, and we've had this trend on the show a few times, but how the NHL seems to be afraid of letting their players have a personality. Like they want eyes on the game and they want to showcase all of this talent and these people, but at the same time they're like, but be this person when you're being an ambassador.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. I always thought it was interesting. You know, everybody sees the memes and they're making fun of guys like, you know, we got to go hard for 60 minutes and just hockey players talking. It's just, some guys now are still so bad, but the NHL doesn't want personalities. Like you hit the nail on the head there. Like I've always thought, wow, we got some funny guys, but the culture of hockey, you know, if a guy went out and said what he really thought or did something crazy, and it's changing now. But when I was playing, if you would have said something, maybe offside or a little bit like borderline, you'd go into the room and then the older guys would be all over you and you'd never say it again. And now that culture's changing a little bit where guys have a little bit of personality. Guys are on social media, they're dressing different, they're doing some different things, which is great. I think it's awesome. Like, I've said it, like, hockey players are the most fascinating people in the world, and there's so many different personalities in the dressing room, and you never get to see 3/4 of them. You see some of these guys, and I played with a ton of hilarious guys, and you watch them do interviews, and they're just boring as all hell. You're like, who is this guy talking? I don't know who that guy is. Like, that is not how you are all the time. Like, show some emotion. You like, hockey's still 20 yards behind every other sport in that aspect for sure.
Well, it's interesting when you said, you had that culture of the Sedins kind of leading the way, like, hey, we're going to do this all as a group. I think that's one thing, and I try to explain it to people who are big hockey fans but don't understand kind of the minutia of what goes on in a locker room. It's no different than an office. You got people that get along, you got people that go for lunches, you got people that don't talk. Maybe they don't like each other. They're willing to work for a collective goal for the company, but they're not hanging out outside. And dressing rooms kind of operate a lot like that too.
Exactly the same. I love having conversations with people, and they like when you kind of pin it that way to them, and I say it all the time, it's exactly the same. You're not going to get along with everybody. If there's 20 people in an office, they're not all getting along. They're not all best friends. They're gonna work together and be like, it's no different in a hockey room. Like, let's call a spade a spade. You get 23 different personalities. They're all not going to get along. And there's lots of times there's fights and you don't get to see half it behind the scene. And
all we see is hugging after goals.
That's all you get to see is wow. And then when you pin it to people, you tell people, well, it's no different. Like, hockey is exactly the same. And they're like, wow, I never thought about it that way. Because I don't like that guy at work. I don't like that guy at work. Like, yeah, it's no different. It's no different. Why would it be any different? Because they're on TV or it's something different. Like, it's exactly the same. It's a really good point.
I don't know if you've seen, there's this one hockey wife. She's married to this dude who's playing over in Europe the last couple of years. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but she does this TikTok series where she'll sit down with him and ask him dumb questions like what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So, like, are all 20 of you guys, like, friends? Like, do you all get along, like, hang out? And he's like, no. There's a couple guys that hate each other. Really? But like you said, you guys are all hugging after goals. What doesn't mean we like each other? Yeah. And she's built a whole brand off it. It's hilarious.
It's amazing. Yeah, I gotta check it out. But it's so true. Like, absolutely, we put on the same jersey. Like, I'm going to war for you. Like, that's just that's part of being on a team. But if have a choice if I want to hang out with you or not, I don't like you. Like, I'm not going to hang out with you. Like,
it doesn't mean you're not going to feed a sweet one-timer.
No, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be happy for you. Like, that's part of being a team. Like, not everyone's going to get along. Not everyone likes each other. Like, if you had everybody that was exactly the same and they all liked each other, man, it would be a boring world.
You ever had that happen where you ask a guy, hey, you want to hang out, go for lunch, go grab a coffee? No, I'm good, Weiser. No thanks.
You know what? I honestly can't say that I did. I think I'm the type of guy, I kind of got along with everybody. I think that was, and not calculated or anything. I just think I'm kind of an easygoing guy. Like, I could hang out with, a guy that's very high on himself and likes to talk about himself all the time. That's fine. Like, let's talk about you, man. Or, a little more reserved guy.
I'm tired of talking about me. Why don't you talk about me for a little while?
Yeah, exactly, right? Or, these European guys or American, whatever it is. Like, I kind of got along with anybody. So I never had that issue. That would have been weird, yeah.
That would have been a dagger. You want to go for coffee? No, I'm good. Sorry, man.
Yeah, maybe not today. It's like, oh, shit, that guy doesn't like me.
Ask him every day for 2 weeks, and he just keeps, no, I got that thing.
You want to go grab a coffee?
We're on the same schedule, dude. I know what you're doing today. You have time.
Going overseas, how was the language barrier and everything?
Sweden was really good. Sweden was good. Tons of English. They all speak good English. Coached in English. So I never had any issues with that. So that was kind of good. Everything was explained in English. And
when you went, did you look at it as this is really cool, I'm getting paid to go live in a different culture, or was there a bit of an ego blow going, man, okay, I guess I'm still playing hockey, but it's not in the show anymore?
Yeah, it was an interesting kind of transition for me because we finished in the bubble in August 2020, and I had my contract in Switzerland, and I was going, like, that was it. I spent the first 3 months 2019 in the minors. So at that point, I was already telling my agent, like, hey, I'm not going to go up and down in the minors for the next 2-3 years. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, get me a deal in Switzerland for next year, get it in place, and we're good. And then all of a sudden, I got called up January 1st, started playing really, really well again, January, February, March. And I'm like, okay, man, I might be back in the league now. I'm playing really well. Like, if COVID didn't happen, I probably would have re-signed in Montreal, played another year or two at least. But, it is what it is. But I finished in the bubble in 2020. I'm away from my family for almost 3.5 months. I just had new twins.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. And So Switzerland calls me. They're like, yeah, you got 7 days. You got to be here. And I'm like, oh, man. I knew I wasn't bringing my family at that point because during COVID, it was kind of weird. Like, I wasn't going to bring my whole family over there. There was issues like, are guys going to get paid? Are we going to go play half the season and not get paid? It was like, at that point in my life financially, I didn't need the money. I didn't need to go do it. I wanted to play. But I decided against it. I was like, no, I can't come in 7 days. Got to go home. I want to be with my family for a couple weeks. They're like, hey, deal's off the table then. And I was like, okay, whatever. That's fine. And so I sat out, that fall. The season didn't start till January. So I missed the whole year. And I was like, kind of getting, I was like, am I retired? Am I not going to play? And I still had a little bit in the stomach. I was like, I want to go play a little bit. I was like, okay, so let's go try it out. And then I went to Sweden. I knew in my gut I was probably done. And I probably should have listened to myself. And I went there. I played 4 exhibition games, sprained my MCL. That's a story for another day too, where like I'm driving around Sweden trying to get my own x-rays and MRIs, and it was just a nightmare.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, it was like, well, okay, so I've never done it before. Like the worst injury I had in the NHL, like I broke my fingers. Maybe that, like I was fairly lucky to be as healthy as I was. And so I knew right away there was something going on with my knee. And I'm playing the shift, boom, something happens and I'm okay, I can't move my leg. Like I know something's going on with my knee here. So I get on the bench and I'm telling the trainer, I was like, something's wrong with my knee. Like I got to get this checked out. It's like, okay, we'll go in the room. So we get in the room. The doctor, I've never met the doctor before, just exhibition and stuff and started the season. He starts moving my leg around. Like I was like in excruciating pain. I was like, no, that doesn't feel, he's like, do you want to give it a try? And I was like, what do you mean give it a try? He said, well, do you want to go back out? I was like, no, I can't go back out. And then the GM comes down and they're talking in Swedish, and I could tell he's kind of looking at me like he thinks I'm faking or something. And then he asked me, do you want to give it a try? I was like, no, I don't want to give it a try. Like there's something wrong. Like this is either my ACL or my MCL has got something seriously going on here. And I was like, okay, then take your gear off. So I'm sitting there, the game finishes and everything. I was like asking the trainer, I was like, okay, like when are we getting this looked at? He said, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. So like, I'm going home. I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get an MRI or something, like used to the NHL lifestyle, Come back to the rink. I got my crutches right the next day, like getting in my car. I'm crutching back in. I'm like, so we getting this looked at? He's like, well, let me just feel around a little bit. So the trainer's moving it around again. And I'm like, this is excruciating. Like something's wrong here. Stop moving it. And he's like, wow, it feels all right. Do you want to try it in the gym? And I'm like, guys, something's wrong here. Like I'm not trying it. We're not like, you don't even know what's wrong. How are you going to rehab it? So I'm calling my agent. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but I got to get an MRI or something. So I asked the GM, I was like, are you not going to send me to the hospital, or like, what do I got to do? He's like, well, it's not really what we do. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not? At this point, I'm like, man, should I just get on the plane and go home? Like, what am I doing?
They're supposed to have great healthcare over there.
The healthcare was great when I took myself. So, I'm asking guys around that league that I knew, and I ended up driving about an hour away to Malmo, and like a really good doctor there, and I saw him, and sure enough, yeah, sprained MCL. So then it just kind of got worse from there. Like nobody was rehabbing my knee. Nobody really knew what to do, how to rehab it, nothing. And I've never done it before, so I didn't really have any idea myself. So it came back way too quick. After like 2.5 weeks, I was skating. Still didn't feel great. It was like lagging. Like I couldn't really move, and I'm, in my head, I'm like, okay, it's probably all right. I got my brace, whatever. I played, maybe 4 or 5 shifts. I got caught. A guy came right through my knee again because I just got stuck and I couldn't move. And at that point, I knew I did it again. So this time they took it a little more serious. They called the ambulance. Like I'm in the ambulance going like 2 hours to this hospital. Saw the exact same doctor that I saw, and he's like,
"You want to try it?"
he was like, you clearly you did it again, or it just hasn't healed one bit. And it was like, yeah, no shit. So I was like, okay. I told the GM, I was like, I'm going to go home for a couple of weeks here. I got to go see some real doctors that know what they're doing. I came home and saw the Jets doctor, Pete McDonald and stuff. And
same guy that did my wife's knee. He's great.
He's amazing. Yeah. He's great. Yeah. So at least I had an answer. Then I knew what was going on. And then at that point, I probably should have stayed home. I shouldn't even have went back. I ended up going back.
This is in Oskarshamm?
Yeah. I went back, played like maybe 10 more games and pulled the plug. I was like, heart wasn't in it. And I kind of knew that from the start. And it wasn't so much an ego thing. It was like I still wanted to play a little bit, but it was like, what am I doing? Like my family's not here. I was barely playing. Like I didn't feel healthy. I wasn't great. It was just a bad experience that way. And no disrespect to the Swedish league. I think it's a good league, but again, you're coming from the NHL. Anything's kind of a step down.
I'm glad you brought it up, and I'll preface this by saying being away from your family is never easy, and I've had to do it for months at a time, and I hated it. And it's a balance between, I'm doing what I love, but I'm also providing for my family, but I love my family, and I want to be with my family, and they're fun too. And I'm curious to know how you were able to navigate that. But the biggest question is, after you were done, it's like, okay, I'm home now. That's different. That's really different.
Huge. Yeah, that's something we can dive into for sure. So when I finished in August 2020, and I ended up selling my house in Winnipeg because I thought I was taking the whole family to Switzerland. We kind of had this all prepped. Sold my house, came back from the bubble. We moved out to the lake just past Lac de Bonnie here, and it was kind of cool.
Lee River?
Bird River, just past
yeah.
Lee River. So it was kind of like it was exciting, right? I've never been in Winnipeg September, October. Got to do Halloween and all. I've never got to do any of those things with my family and my dad and my brother and all this. Like, it was so cool. So it was kind of like exciting for that point. But then you go like, September, October, November, and I was still thinking like, am I going to play? What's going to kind of happen? So I had a, kind of a brief look of what retirement looked like, and I wasn't crazy about it. Just being at home at the lake, doing nothing all day, sitting there all day, just wasn't really for me. So then I think that's what kind of pushed me to want to go play. And then you're away from your family, like you said. It's the worst like tug of war on your heart, where you're like, okay, I'm providing and I'm doing this for my family, but like, I'm not even there. Like, I'm missing my twins. They're a year old. I'm missing my kids going to school. Like what am I providing? Like, that's kind of the tug on your heartstrings, where you're like, okay, I'm providing, but I'm also missing these core minutes. Like, nothing can replace that. Like, financially, nothing. Like, that's kind of where I pulled the plug, where it's like, okay, let me be home so I can be there for all those moments, and I'm with my kids every day, and I'll find someone else to do and kind of go from there. So it was good to get a brief look into retirement. Then I went back to play. But then when you did, fully pull the plug, I came home. It's like, I know I'm not playing again. That was kind of a difficult adjustment for sure.
How was it on your wife? I mean, that's your biggest support system.
Big time. And my wife's great. She's a saint. But, you go from, during the season when you're playing hockey, it's like, okay, I go to the rink. I get up, I go to the rink right away. I'm there 9 to 2 o'clock every day. I come home, I hang out with the kids. If it's not a game night, then it's fine. But if it's a game day, I go to the rink 9 to about 1. I'm home. I nap for 2 hours. I go to the rink. I come home at 12. I don't even see her when I'm home. That's a week. Then you go on the road. So I don't see her for another week. So it's like, now I'm there 24/7 all the time. It is like a huge adjustment. And for us, it was difficult. Like, you just start bickering and arguing about nothing. And then as a player too, right? When you don't really, like, I was doing other things, but I wasn't really busy. So it was difficult. Like, we were butting heads a lot for the first, I would say, probably year. I think so. Yeah, it was difficult.
Was it a conscious moment where you sat down and you said, okay, we got to figure this out, or was it you just kind of moved along with it? Yeah,
it was kind of fluid. It was fluid for us. Like, we would have the conversations, and like, we're like, yeah, this is just a terrible situation. Like, I love you to death, and I'm all in this, but it's like, I can't be around you all day long. I got to do something. Like, I got to feel like I have some purpose, and I think we're much better just because it was our whole relationship to that point. So we had to get used to being around each other a lot more. Which is very difficult. You find out very quickly if you like each other. It's easy to like each other when you don't see each other. Like, you can
Absence
be
makes
married.
the heart grow fonder, man.
Of course, and I truly believe that. So you got to find out. You do find out how much you really love each other, how much you don't when you spend that much time together.
We were talking before you came in. We had a high net worth estate lawyer come in maybe like a month ago, and he was saying how when it comes to professional athletes, specifically guys in the show, within 365 days. 70% on the female side pull the pin. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you've made it past that is really a testament to your relationship.
Huge. I think, let's, again, I love saying let's call a spade a spade. You're in the NHL, you're making great money, you're living a great lifestyle. You get to go to the rink and you go in the VIP section, and you're going for nice dinners all the time. You can afford some nice gifts. You're making a lot of like, that's a great lifestyle. But then when it switches back, it's like, okay, now you're just a regular dude. You can't be living that lifestyle. You can't be spending that lifestyle. It's a big adjustment, not only for the player, but I know a lot of guys where I was looking at them when they're playing together, I'm like, yeah, you guys are a great couple. I was like, but when you ain't raking in that kind of money, I was like, there's gonna be some cracks there, and sure enough, it happens. Like 70%, I'm not surprised at all. And I think, when you get down that road, either you're making a decision, okay, this is our new lifestyle, you got to get used to it, or we're finished. Like that's kind of, and I guess, you look at the stats, people pull the plug pretty quick.
That's tough. How did Lauren deal with that though? Because like you mentioned, the cash, the lifestyle, the nice dinners and everything, and now I'm sure that's hard on her as well. So like what did she do to kind of help contribute to your guys' success?
Yeah, she, again, I got to give it credit to her. She's different from a lot of other girls too. Like we were always in it as a team, right? Like, we came up together in the first couple years in the league and, we started to make more, but our lifestyle never really changed as I made more. And even now we're pretty low key. Like I said, we moved the family of 6 into a 1,500 square foot cabin for 4 years, and we loved it. And, we've moved back in the city now and get a little more space where I can spread out a little bit in our house. But she's always been there to support me. And even, through those hard times was never like, oh, I want this, or I want to live this life. Like it was just never about that. She was always just whatever I was going through, whatever I needed, she was there for me. And, yeah, she's a good one. So she's great.
It's going to make it a lot easier, though. Going through all these hardships through the game, like you mentioned, it's a business. It's hard. It's frustrating. And then there's your woman. You come home to, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. I would assume.
Huge. That's a great point. I think I know for me personally, like your wife, your girlfriend, whoever's along for the ride is as much a part of it. Is probably the biggest factor. Like if you have, and for me it was. I never had that stress. Like when we were younger, we had, my oldest in Vancouver. There was points when Torch was there, and I was like, we might like this might be my last year in the league. Like I might be done. And she was like, yeah, whatever. I was like, we might have to go to Russia next year. We might be in the middle of nowhere. Like, and she was always like, yeah, whatever. Like you do whatever you need to do. Like I'm along for the ride. So it just never changed. So it's huge. It's huge because I know a lot of guys that I saw where it was like, no, I'm not going to go to Russia or
with their woman.
Oh yeah, or she's telling the guy, well, I'm not going to play in Winnipeg. I'm not playing in Winnipeg. I'll play in LA. I'll play in New York. I'll play in Dallas. Like it is like, let's be honest. There's lots of people that are like that.
Without names, obviously, but are there any examples that come to mind in your experience where you witnessed it and you're like, why are you putting up with that? Like, why is she treating you this way? Like, why is she doing this?
I don't want to say any names, but there's a lot of, I would say more so Europeans.
Like the European women or the players?
Both. Was more so, demanding where they would play and where they want to play, and they don't want to do this and don't want to play there. And, you're watching guys constantly coming back on the road and hands are full of Chanel and Louis Vuitton. Like, it's like, holy smokes, what's going on here? How's that going to last? And then you see them now and things are not good. So yeah, there's quite a few of those.
I'm curious to know if you had any holy shit moments when you're on the ice, like, oh my God, there's Ovechkin, or oh my God, did you have any of those moments when you were first getting into the league?
I think the coolest thing for me, so I got drafted at 19. I never went to a training camp before that. I didn't get any invites or anything. So I got drafted, boom, I went to the Rangers right away. And the coolest thing for me was like, I'm sitting there and Marcus Naslin's right beside me. That was kind of the coolest thing for me. Like, growing up, like in Vancouver, he was amazing. I loved Marcus Naslin. I wasn't the big Canucks fan at that point, but, you got a guy like that. Chris Giroux was on the other side. It was like my line mates. The first day was like Marcus Naslin, Chris Giroux. I was like, that was a holy shit moment for me. That was like, okay, yeah, I'm nervous now. Like this is wild. It's just, I don't care who you are. When you get there and you see guys that you've idolized or whatever, there's absolutely no possible way that you can't be nervous around them. And you're like, wow, do I actually belong here? Like, this is crazy. And then you start to play a little bit and realize you do belong. But like, you got to talk yourself into it for the first little bit.
I still remember stories like another Winnipegger, Lee Gorin, asking Mario Lemieux for a stick and right before a face-off. Moments like that I think the average fan realizes that once you're in your league, it's like, okay, you're accepted. It's like, no, there's still those moments where we're little kids.
Oh yeah, I think every guy grows up a fan, right? So you get there and there's got to be like, the Ovechkin, the Crosby thing for sure. There was I could name 15 guys who were going on the league. You're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Like, Vancouver, my first game we opened up against, Crosby and Malkin, and it was cool, really cool.
You ever ask a guy like that for a stick, like Sid or Malkin?
I didn't. I never asked guys for gear, and I should have. Looking at it now, that's one of those things where, you think it's going to go on forever, and you always have the chances, and I just never got around to do it. I should. I would have asked every guy for a stick for sure. I'd have a pretty good collection.
Well, if I had to guess, you're probably still wearing your old Montreal Canadiens gloves when you're coaching the kids out on the ice, are you not?
Yeah. Montreal, for sure. Yeah, I don't bring out the Philly, Chicago ones. No way.
So the memories obviously are there. The transition now, I mean, you're doing really well. You're successful. You're working in Winnipeg. You've got a bit of a business going. Are you happy?
I am. I would probably say I'm as happy as I've been in my life. Very content. I love coaching my kids. That is like my pure joy in life is like coaching my kids, and not even just my kids. I love coaching kids. There's so many people I think that do it for the wrong reasons now, and I'm like I said, I'm not. I'm there to help you develop, and I'm going to teach you some great skills, and that's everything. But I just want it to be fun. I want kids to enjoy it. Like there's so much pressure around kids at such a young age now. It's so sad. Like I just want them to enjoy it, and then I think it's cool business-wise where you spend your whole life trying to be a hockey player. Since I was 5, I was going to play in the NHL. This is it. And I think a lot of guys get lost after where they think, well, I've only been a hockey player. I have no skills. I have no real-life skills. When realistically, the fact that you made it in a 1%, in the 1% of everybody in the world, you have some kind of skill to get there, not just hockey skills. And I don't think guys utilize it enough to, get into the other side. And I would love to say that to players. Like, I love, speaking to guys that are a year out or 2 years out. It's like, man, you got a ton of skills. You have a big network. Like, even guys that are still playing the last couple of years of your career, start thinking about it. Like, use your network. There's so many good people around you as a hockey player. You get so many opportunities to meet cool people that want to help you down the road too. And so, business-wise, it's cool to be successful doing something other than hockey. I think I take a lot of pride in that, where pat myself on the back sometimes. I'm like, man, you're not just a hockey player, right? Like you can do other things. Good job, man. Good for you.
Are you at the point when you look at your group of kids based on their pedigree and the parents and their attitude and their skill on the ice, where you can kind of go, definitely no and maybes?
I think so. Yeah. I had a cool. So I just moved back into the city this year, and I think it was really cool just picking kids, and it was funny because I only got to watch for an hour before I could pick my team, and I got 2 groups out there, and I'm okay. I like this kid. This kid's a good player. And I'm strictly only picking them like this kid's the best player. I don't know anything about him. I don't know his parents. Nothing. And ended up picking the team, and I'm sitting there with the director of where I coach, and he's like, this guy's parents going to be a problem. This guy's going to be a problem. This guy's going to be a problem. This guy. I was like, he's like, you literally took every problem child on your team. And I was like, I was literally just picking the best players. I was like, I didn't know anybody. And I maybe it's different when you get a guy like me that coaches, because I had no issues. I had a great time with the parents and stuff like that. But it's, I love minor hockey. It's very entertaining.
Were you ever around for the bench brawls with Torts, with the Rangers and the Canucks, both of those?
I was on the lineup, for the Canucks Flames one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one where you went across the hallway?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But not the Rangers one.
Not the Rangers one. No.
Can you take us through the Canucks one?
Yeah. So we, I can't remember if we played them earlier in the week, or it was a week before, or they got blown out the game before. I don't know what it was. And Hartley went at the team in the paper, went at Calgary. So we knew coming in they were going to be fired up, and we talked about, you have the pre-scout. You're like, I'm pretty sure they got blown out, and Hartley called them out. So, we talked about they're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. Nothing's said in warm-up. Normally something like that would be teed up in warm-up, but the guys are like, we're going off the start or whatever, and nobody said anything. Torch just came in, and he's like, we're starting Weiser, Tommy Sestito, and Kellen Lane. It was his first game. Parents flew from Toronto for his first game. God bless. And he's like, sorry, guys, like I got to protect my guys. I got to put you out there. So pretty much saying like, you guys are worthless to the team. I'll throw you out there. Like just the worst way. He didn't need to say it like that. It was so ridiculous. Like we know our jobs. Like it's the NHL. You know your job. If they're starting McGrath and Westgarth and whoever, Blair Jones and Ladislav Smid and whoever the guy was, like,
at least you're getting the anthem.
Like we know we know what's happening. There's like, we're standing there at the anthem. We get up to the draw. Everyone's like, we're all going. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Like everybody knows what they're doing at that point. Then the brawl goes off. It was great. It was fun. Like you enjoy stuff like that. They're still playing it. You get in the penalty box, get kicked out. Torts comes in after the first period. He shakes my hand. He's like, sorry, I had to do it. And I'm like, what are you apologizing for? And like, You had a choice. You didn't have to. You could have started the Sedins. Do you really think Brian McGrattan was going to jump Henrik Sedin? No, it would have never happened. Nothing would happen. Maybe they threw a couple big hits. They wouldn't be able to catch him, but like it made no sense to me. But a cool moment. I think it was funny. Lauren showed up late to that game and sent me a text like 5 minutes in the game. She's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "Just YouTube. Just YouTube the start of the game. It'll be all over in Twitter at the time or whatever it was." But yeah, those are great moments. I loved it.
Who'd you pair up with?
Blair Jones. Blair Jones. He wasn't that tough of a guy, so it was good matchup for me. But he was good on him. Like he was like, "We're going." I was like, "Okay, perfect."
I just thought of it because you mentioned their names a few times. I don't know if you still have close communication or not, but after having the twins, did you lean on them a little bit, going, "Hey, can you give me any insight on what it's like growing up with an exact replica of yourself?"
They were. I tell this to everybody. I wasn't a Canucks fan growing up. I didn't watch a lot of their games. Going there, I got so much respect for those two. They're just the nicest people. So good at creating a culture of making everyone feel a part of it. There's no surprise why they were so good for so long, and they worked their ass off. Off ice, they would kill everybody in the conditioning tests. On ice in practice, work their ass off. And they made it. A guy like me who, when I was there my first year, I was on the fourth line. I was playing like 5 minutes a night. Those guys made me feel like I was a superstar. They're such good people, and they're amazing. I loved being around them, seeing how professional they were, and they took a beating too. I don't think if you watch enough of the games, you got a chance to see those guys took a beating and never complained. Like very, very little would you see them yapping at the ref. They just played, and I've never seen. When I get asked who's the best players that you played with, and Kane, Panarin, Giroux, Voracek, Taves, all these guys, like the Sedin brothers to me were the most dominant guys that I saw.
They made it look rather effortless too.
Effortless. And they were not the greatest skaters. Like I was always surprised in practice how they could do these things and not be moving. I'm like, I'm on you 4 times, but you put it through me 4 times. I'm like, I'm keep catching you and you're still making plays. So they were incredible.
Is that why they brought you into Vancouver though? Because I remember they took that beating in the Cup final against Boston.
Yeah, so it was weird, right? Like I remember watching Vancouver go to the final, and I'm watching their fourth line, and no disrespect to the guys that were there, but I was like, I was in the minors at the time. I was like, man, I should be on this team. Like they need a guy that can play. Excuse me. And so I got cut by Torts, and then I got picked up on waivers, and then I came in right away, and it was like, as soon as I got there, it was like pegged in the media. It's like, well, now we got a tough guy. I was like, I would consider myself a tough player. I wouldn't consider myself a heavyweight. I wouldn't consider myself an enforcer. Like that wasn't me at all. But it was like I was thrust into this role where I knew what they wanted, and I was going to do whatever I had to do to stay there. I was like, this is my first chance. I'm in the NHL, right? Like they picked me up on waivers. I think you got to stay for 30 days minimum when you get picked up on waivers, whatever the rule was at the time. But I knew, I'm there. I'm in the NHL. I got my foot in the door now. So I was fighting a ton. Like I said, the year before, that would have been my third year in the minors. I probably had 20 goals in 35 games, 40 points. Like I was scoring. I was never a fourth line fighter, but I did what I had to do to get my foot in the door, and it worked.
Some good stats there too.
Yeah, I think everybody looks at your NHL stats. You're like, well, you only scored this. This is like. Every fourth line guy in the NHL was the best player in the American League, was the best player in junior. Like when you see guys, well, most of the time, I shouldn't say everybody, but most of the time you see guys in the third, fourth lines, these guys were elite junior players, really good players. That's the difference between a guy that's going to come play 100 games in the NHL or a guy that's going to play 500-600. Is like you accept that role, realize you're not going to be a scorer here, and do what you got to do to stay in the league.
I want to come back to the Montreal stuff because I remember that nasty overtime goal you had on Anders Lindback, top corner in Tampa. But like I mentioned off the top, you were the first experience I had as a goaltender where, you think of, okay, Dale Weise, he's just a fourth line guy.
Yeah.
I remember the first shot you ripped on me. You ripped my glove off. You shot that thing so hard. You must have pumped like 12 goals past me in the summer scrimmage.
Yeah.
And this guy who's just a fourth line guy who's not very good is actually nasty. So if anybody's listening or watching that maybe doesn't understand or hasn't played at a high level, can you try to put into perspective like how good a fourth line NHL player really is?
Yeah, I mean, even more so now. Like these guys on the fourth line, it's all about. I would say there's 90% of guys that are on the fourth line right now could go and play on a team's top 2 lines, given the right opportunity, play on the power play, and you're going to score. Like, guys are so good, but you just get slotted in a role. Sometimes, you get pigeonholed as he's a checker now. He's a checker, but he could go and play on the second line on this team, play on the power play, let him stay there for 20 games, probably scores 10, 12 points. Whereas if he goes in the fourth line, he might only score 12 points all year because you're not getting the opportunities, right? You're starting every defensive zone face-off. You're not getting any offensive zone draws. You're not on the power play. Like, it's really all about opportunity. And fourth line guys are, to me, you could ask all the skilled guys in the NHL, who would you rather play against? Do you want to play against the checking line or do you want to play against the skilled line? They're going to say the skilled line all day long. The skilled guys have 100 times more skill, but those checking guys play way harder, and they don't give you an inch, and it's way harder to play against them. So it's I always love it. Like, I play a little bit of beer league, not so much now because I think I'm still in pretty good shape, so it's not beneficial, but I get chirped all the time. It's like, wow, you're just, people say you were just a fourth line. And it was like, well, okay, man, well.
Tell it to my bank account.
Like, it's funny when people say that, but it's
well, when I have conversations with people, regarding the American League and the minor leagues compared to the National League, and even people that say they prefer the Western League because it's more exciting, and they're right because there's more mistakes that are being made.
Yeah.
And feel free to either validate this or tell me I'm completely off my rocker, but I always said that the guys that are playing in the American League that are on your first and second line could 100% jump up and play in the NHL. The biggest difference that I've noticed in the NHL and the American League is the passing. That's really what separates the two.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. I think going back when I went to the minors in 2019 for 3 months after being in the NHL for 11 years, it was like, okay, I'm in the right spot, but you're just not getting it to me quick enough. And then that's the difference. Where the NHL, it's almost easier where you see some guys struggle in the American League, and then all of a sudden, as a skilled guy, all of a sudden they get to the NHL and they're playing great. You're like, how did that happen? Why is he better in the NHL than the American League? I saw it a ton of times when I was younger. Because guys, they just don't think the game quick enough. Like you said, like they can play in the NHL for sure. They got the skill. They can skate. They can think the game. They can shoot the puck. Everybody can shoot the puck now. But they just can't do it quick enough consistently. Where in the NHL, I don't need to worry. Like, I'm a winger. I rim the puck here. I know my centers. I don't need to look. I know he's there. Boom, I get it to him. Where the American League, I get the puck. And he's 10 feet this way, or he's, and I throw it there and it's a turnover. It's like, well, that was a shitty play. It's like, well, no, that guy should have been in the right spot. And I think that's a really good point that you make. Is that's the biggest. Like, you go watch the American League, you're like, man, this is fast. It's the same speed as the NHL, but the game just can't move fast enough because the guys can't make the decisions quick enough. And you just talk about playing junior. Like, I love watching junior hockey now, like you said, because there's so many mistakes. The NHL is so scripted because guys are so good. Everyone's in the right spot, and it just flows. There's not a lot of mistakes. Guys are just so good.
It's kind of impressive to watch. Like, just as a goaltender watching goaltenders, I see like these guys don't make any mistakes at all, and I'm sure like the players are the same way. These guys are just like perfect 100% of the time. And if there is a mistake, it's in the back of the net or you're getting sent down.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. Like, goaltending to me, I think is outstanding. When I love watching guys in the NHL. Like, they're just so good. You can go watch beer league and the pucks are sneaking in here, left, right, and center. And it's like, here's the best shooters in the NHL. And it's like point blank, and 9 out of 10 times he's stopping it. Like, just goaltending is just so good. So good. We got a really good one in Winnipeg that I don't like the flack that he took last year, because I think he's the best goalie in the world right now. And I think we're lucky to have him.
Amen. Is there a goalie that you played against where you just always had your number, or you're always in wow of how good he is?
I loved, I think Henrik Lundqvist was probably the first guy for me. Like, when I came up with New York and I'm watching, and he's the last guy on the ice all the time, and he'd take breakaway after breakaway after breakaway, and I'm like, here's like one of the best goalies. Why is he taking so many breakaways? And he takes breakaways. He was the first goalie to take breakaways in warm-up in the NHL. And now there's a couple guys that do it, but I'm like, why is this guy taking 20 penalty shots in warm? Like, what is this? Like, this is like minor hockey. And he was just outstanding. And he was so deep in his net. And I remember the first couple of times, like, I didn't want to hit him in the head. I was like, you're so nervous as it is. I'm just like floating it in his glove. And he got mad at me after like one time. I just I shot it hard, but I just made sure I put it in his glove. And he's like, shoot it harder. I was like, okay. So next one I shot a little harder. And he's like, harder, shoot it. And I'm like, okay, so this one I'm coming in. I just blasted a slapper right by him. I felt so good about myself. But he was one of those guys. Carey Price, another one. Roberto Luongo. Like, I was really lucky to play
really
with
blessed.
Some outstanding goaltenders that their work ethic, it was the reason they were that good. But just to watch some of the best guys in the world just making it look so easy. And Carey Price, he would frustrate so many guys in practice, but you just couldn't score. And he wouldn't let you. Like there's times where he's not looking. And sometimes you just want to shoot it in an empty net. And he would like get his stick and stop it. And I'd get so mad. I was like, man, just let me score once. And he would not give up a goal. Like he's battling 5-6 rebounds. This guy's coming. He's trying to stop that one. Like just outstanding. Outstanding.
If you had to pick one goalie who the best one you played with was, is that Carey Price?
Carey Price would be the pick, yeah. Lundqvist was great. Luongo was great. But Carey Price I've never felt like an aura in a dressing room that every single night he was in the net, it was like, man, I don't care who we're playing. Our team's not great, but we're probably going to win.
Well, you were there for his Hart Trophy season, right? Or no?
Which year was his Hart?
When he won, 14,
he
15,
won a cup.
I think?
Was it 14-15? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Was there something different that year versus the other years where he just turned it on, kind of like Hellebuck right now?
No, yeah, Dale Weise on his team.
That was probably it. No. I just think Montreal, and then I think Winnipeg's got a good team this year, but those years that we were high up in the standings, we weren't a great team. He was just so good. And he was the difference every night. He's so consistent, and he's one of the guys I felt bad for to never have a chance to win because he was so good. And the teams were not good enough for, like, look at, it was 2021 where he takes him to the Stanley Cup final. They're like, you just knew they had a chance to win every night. They had no business beating any of these teams. And he was just, you're getting one goal maybe. And it's got to be bouncing off 7 guys and going in. That's the only way you're going to score on him. And it was just, he had that aura about him where you knew, like, oh, we turn the puck over here. Doesn't matter. You're not scoring. You do whatever you want. You're not scoring.
Like, as a fan of him being literally the best goalie of the last decade, did it feel like somebody who knew him and saw him day in, day out, to a degree, maybe this sounds a bit harsh, but they wasted his best years?
Well, for sure. No, I feel the same way. That's why I feel bad. I feel bad for him because those years, he was so good, you just needed a couple pieces and you had a chance. And he was, oh man, he's just, to me, I've never seen, and again, humble superstars, the Sedins and guys like that, but this guy would just never point the finger. Never point the finger. It was always like, yeah, I should have been better. It was like, we got outshot 47-15. Like, what do you mean you should have been better? Like, he would always, like, behind closed doors, never pointed a finger, ever. And I was blown away. Like, sometimes I almost wanted him to be like, start calling guys out, man. Everybody knows it. You would say it and nobody would be offended. Like, you need some more run support or we got to do more for you. Like, say it. And he would never once.
No palms up?
Never staring down his D-man like the Henrik Lundqvist. That drove me nuts. Price would never do that.
A couple more questions and we'll let you get out of here because we know you're a busy guy. But if Dale Weise grows up in a different area of Canada, like say a Toronto or a Vancouver or something, and I'm kind of leading the witness here a little bit because I think there's something really special about the hockey culture in Winnipeg, and you played with some great guys growing up too. Is Dale Weise a different hockey player if he grows up playing minor hockey somewhere else?
I think absolutely, 100%. And you talk about that era, and I talk about it all the time. It was like, Cam Barker, Nigel Dawes, Dustin Boyd,
Colton Orr,
like Ryan Garbett, like from like 82 to like 90 in Winnipeg. 1982 birthdays to 1990, just to clarify that.
All those guys are working out with Rich Bird too.
All with Rich Bird.
Bird.
It was all, and I tell guys this all the time. It was like we had all the best players in an 8-year span, all working out and pushing together. Mm-hmm. Everybody, like we had Stones were still young then too. Like we had so many good guys all together. But now this guy's over here and this guy does his own thing over here, and it's sad because like you need that internal. I remember Tyler Arneson, another guy, Dustin Penner, like. There were so many good players, all the same. I remember chasing those guys up the hill. It's like, man, I want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want to be that guy. I want to be exactly like
running
pushing
stairs at
each
Canadians.
Other. Yeah. It's Canadians. Then he switched up the road there.
Going to
now the
Hill.
garbage hill. And it's like flipping tires and pushing sleds. Like we were all together. Like if I didn't grow up in that, I didn't have that atmosphere. I don't know. I don't know if I make it to where I was in all honesty. Like I had there's another really good, I was actually talking about this in my daughter's spring team here. There was a really good young hockey player, lived on my street. His name was Joe Barnes. And he was a second overall pick in the Western League. Ended up being a third round NHL pick. Never played in the NHL. But I remember when I was like 11, 12, I looked up to him like crazy. You know, he's a second overall Bantam pick, and I'd watch him. Barnes, you would remember him from Wally's World, no?
No.
You would have been there.
The pizza guy?
No.
Not
But he would have been. I thought you would have seen him. But either way, I remember when I was 11 or 12, I'm watching him in the rain doing plyometrics on the street, sprinting, like pouring rain outside. The guy's sprinting, he's working out, and like just being raised in that environment is definitely what set the tone for me.
Wow.
Is there a guy growing up where you're like, I want to be that guy? That was my idol growing up.
We had the Jets. You know, they left when I was 7 there, so like Keith Tkachuk was my guy for the Jets. I just loved it. My dad kind of like, you know, we both kind of liked him. He's rugged. He could score. He kind of do. That was kind of like from a young age I tried to emulate where, you know, I'm going to be a tough player, hard to play against, but I can score. I can do everything. And that was kind of my guy. I'm trying to think of other guys. And then he would have been my guy growing up. He was pretty awesome.
Not a bad pick, too. Married a Winnipeg gal, too.
Yeah.
Took her back down to Florida, I think.
Really?
Yeah, Winnipeg. Cheyenne, I think.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
True story.
Nice.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah, they were talking about it on, can't remember what show it was. Matthew, he was talking about that.
Yeah.
About their mom being from Winnipeg. But yeah,
I didn't
204
know.
born
That's
and raised.
amazing. There you go.
Not bad, eh?
Beautiful.
She's probably like, get me out of here. Please, I'm begging.
Let's go to Phoenix. I'm happy about it.
And even Saskatoon, even Regina. Last one I got for you, though. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say the highlight of your career is that nasty overtime winner snapping over Anders Lindback against Tampa? 2014?
I think so. If I think of like the really like high-end moments that I will never forget, that one to me, you know, I scored a hat trick after, which was kind of cool. I don't think anybody, you know, would have believed I could have scored a hat trick in the NHL. Like that was kind of a cool moment. The following year after that one in the playoffs, I scored the tire with 3 minutes left against Ottawa, and then I scored the OT winner, which was cool at that. But the first one to me, you know, I just got brought over to Montreal at the deadline. It's my first, you know, playoff game with Montreal to score the OT winner. You know, who knows if I don't score that goal, like we end up losing that game, maybe I'm out of the lineup next game. You don't even know. And it just kind of, you know, took off from there. So it's one of those moments I'll never forget.
Can you put me in your shoes for a second just to feel that? Like you're game one in Tampa, overtime, you get the puck from so-and-so.
Well, do you even see it from a first point of view anymore? Or you've seen the highlights so many times, you're seeing it like the way everyone else does?
That's a good point. I'm almost seeing it more that way. But I just remember the moments leading up to it where we weren't playing a lot in the third period. It was me, Danny Briere, and Michael Bourneval. And we weren't playing a lot. And Danny B's like, just be ready. We're gonna get the winner here. We're gonna get the winner. I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me, Danny? Like, I know you might get the winner. I might not even get on the ice here. And he's like, just stay ready. Worry about your next shift. I was like, okay. Sat there for 4 or 5 minutes. We didn't get out there early in overtime. And then, you know, we had one shift. We had a really good shift. We were all buzzing everywhere. He's like, I'm telling you, we're going to get the winner. We're going to get the winner. Boom, we get out the next shift. Puck rims around. And I couldn't believe how open I was. Like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know, my eyes are getting big. I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to come right to me. The goalie can't even see it. And sure enough, boom, puck, he wins the battle, gives it to me. And I can't miss from there. It's 5 feet away. But it was just the coolest moment. And I don't think I slept for like 2 minutes that night. I was so amped up. Went back to the hotel. We got there at like, you know, because we were the underdogs in the series too, for us to get a big win like that in game one and then end up, you know, sweeping them and going from there. But that was, that's one of those ones you never forget. I can feel the moment. Like I can close my eyes and I can feel exactly where it was.
You mentioned Ottawa too. You chased the Hamburglar and then got the OT winner on Anderson, right?
Yep. Yeah. That was the cool thing about that game, and I'll remember because I was on the second or third line, and Therrien just ripped me after the second period. Like, you know, I wasn't having a bad game. I wasn't having a great game. There was other guys he could have keyed on a little more, but he loved getting on me, which was fine because it kind of brought the best out of me. So he's unloading on me in the second period. He's like, you're done for the game. You might as well take your gear off. So, okay, whatever. Never happened. He kept playing me in the third. We ended up scoring the tire with 2 minutes left. Then I ended up scoring the winner first shift. And this is a crazy story. So if you watch the highlights, when I score the OT winner and I go like this and I'm staring at him. I stared at him right down the bench. Everyone thought I was just looking at the boys coming off. I was like, no, I was staring at him. Let him know, like, there you go, bud.
Well, that was a nasty rip too. Was that pipe
posting in? Yeah, that was. Couldn't shoot that one any better. You couldn't post inside the other post. Perfect shot.
The puck ring off all the way down in Gatineau.
It was crazy. So we went up 3-0 at that point, which was huge because man, Ottawa had a great team that year, and we went to Mont-Tremblant for 2 days after that, which was not a smart move. I don't know why the coaches thought that was going to be the best idea. Like, booked out this quintessence. They booked out the whole hotel, like beautiful resort for 2 days. The boys are just crushing wine and cold tub and hot tub and just like, so, you know.
Yeah, it sounds miserable.
Terrible. It was like, at the time I thought it was a good idea. It's like great to have the boys together and get away from the families and just really be in playoff mode. But looking at it now, that was so stupid. Ottawa came, worked us the next 2 games, and then should have beat us in game 6. Price stole the shot. I think we won 1-0. Price was unbelievable. Like about 15 prime A chances in the last like 5 minutes. Stopped everything and we snuck out of that one. If they would have beat us in game 6, I don't think we're winning game 7.
Out of curiosity, just really quickly, were you guys bussing back and forth? That's only about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. Training it.
Yeah.
Nice.
No way.
Yeah.
The Via Rail.
Oh yeah.
Like you booked out the Via Rail yourself?
Yeah. Oh, that was the best. We loved it. We started doing it the year before that. We switched it up because we used to bus, and then it was like, well, let's try the train, and then everybody just loved it. The train was great, so fun. So then we just kept training, and then for the playoffs we did it too.
So you guys took the bus down to Ottawa Station, hopping the train down to downtown Montreal Station?
Yeah.
No way. Dude,
pretty cool.
I'm a train nerd, so I love that.
Oh, it was great. It was so fun. It was like, it's a great, like Via, the seats are great. Like it's just like same as a private jet, no different. It's just way quicker and way easier.
Well, David mentioned when they founded the original 6, they got by train. And that's why they put the teams where they were, because there was main train stations in all the team areas like Detroit, Chicago, Boston, New York.
Really?
True story.
I didn't know that.
And then all
you
of a
got
sudden,
some great facts, man.
dude, I'm a walking encyclopedia of useless knowledge.
It makes sense. Makes sense. They must have had a good time.
You compare it to the buses as opposed to the trains. Like, imagine you're going downtown Toronto, Maple Leaf Gardens, Union Station to Chicago Union.
Yeah.
What a trip that would have been back in the day.
That would have been fun.
But you mentioned the game 6. Price wasn't that when he made like 45 saves, 1-0 shutout, and you guys iced him in the room afterwards?
Yeah, that was awesome. Brandon Press called that one. Like, played not the game of his life because he had hundreds of those, but it was ridiculous. We had no business winning that game. Shouldn't have won it. And everyone gets in. Everyone knows. Like, we'd be nowhere without him. And everyone's like, "Hey, we got to ice him." Pricey comes in. Don't even look at him. Don't even look at him. It was cool that they had the cameras in to catch it because it's such a cool moment. And then he comes in, and so Carey Price like comes in. Nobody's talking. He didn't need he didn't want the praise. Like, that's literally, again, you can't fake that. And he was like, yeah. And then the boys went nuts. Like, that was such a cool moment.
That's awesome.
You got to take us through Boston, the last one, the Boston series, 2014.
Oh, that was cool. You know, it was so cool. Again, growing up a Montreal Canadiens fan, you get to play Boston in the playoffs. Like, I was already amped up. You know, we come out of a series sweep of Tampa where nobody expected us to win that one. Now you're playing, at that time, that was an NHL record. I think they had 119 points. That was when they beat it to whatever it was 2 years ago. That was the last team to have that record. We had no business, right? Everyone's given a chance. Boston's too big. They're too strong. Montreal's too small. They don't have enough offense. They don't have the depth. Every underdog story in the book, and we wanted that matchup. We were happy about it. We're like, we'll beat Boston for sure. Like, we handled them all year. For some reason, we just never got it. We were the only team, I think, in the East. There were some bigger teams that like to kind of get into it with them. We never got into it with them. We that's not our game. We had a couple guys that could play that way, but it wasn't our game. We weren't going to beat them that way. You know, they had Chara and Ference, like Kevin, like their McQuaid. Their team was Thornton. It was ridiculous. We didn't want to get into it with them, so we just frustrated them. We stole game 1. Lost game 1, stole game 2 back home, and then as game 2, 3, 4 started going on, guys like Lucic and Thornton and these guys, they were getting so wound up. And in warm up, they're like sitting there foaming at the mouth, staring at me like, "We're going tonight. We're going. We're gonna go. We're gonna go." And it's like, "We're gonna go." And it's like, there's the one YouTube clip where everyone sends it to me all the time. They think it's so funny. Thornton's like, "I'll fight you. You pick which hand." I tie behind my back. It's like, that's great, man. Like, I want you on the ice. And I would tell them that, and they would get so frustrated because at that time, they were considered the best fourth line in the league. It was Campbell, Dan Paille, and Sean Thornton. And our fourth line was me, Brandon Press, and Danny Briere for that series. And we just worked them. They got to the point where they couldn't play them against us. Like, they were barely playing because we were just working them all the time, and I just loved it. You could just see they're getting so angry, and we're not feeding into it. We're not fighting. In warm-up, I'm just standing there laughing at them, and I'm laughing. I'm looking at them, smiling. They were just foaming at the mouth, and I'm hitting everything too, like every single time, but I'm not fighting them. So they're getting so mad, and then we had the back and forth with Lucic a couple times, and then I flexed on him there. I just thought it was weird because he's on the bench. Him and Giroux McGinley flexing on guys. Like, then I did it back to him, and he just lost it. And then, me being a fourth, I had 2 goals, 2 assists in the series. I had more points than Lucic. I had more points than probably any of their forwards in the series, outside of Krejci and Bergeron probably. But, not only was I not giving them what they wanted to fight, I wouldn't give it to them. I'm hitting everything. I'm outscoring them, and it was just – and then obviously you see the handshake line when things just melted down for him, and probably a moment he wants back, but he's not getting that one back.
What did he say to you in the handshake line?
Yeah, I could see in the line, like, it's just unwritten Bruin hockey, a handshake, like, good series, it's over, man. Like, that's part of the game. And I see him getting real aggressive with everybody. I was like, where's this going to go? I'm like getting ready here. I was like, this might be the first fight in a playoff handshake line ever. And he comes, and I'm ready to say, like, good series, man. And he grabs my hand, he's shaking, and he's like, next year I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you next year. You're done. And then, like, behind me was, like, Alexei Emelin, who was in his head, too. And he tells him the same thing. And I'm just like, what? Is this 9-year-old hockey? Like, I could not believe the guy did it. And then, obviously, after in the media, he got all blown up about it and was all choked. So, cool moment in history.
It's almost a better feeling knowing that you got the upper hand than scoring an OT winner.
It was such a cool moment that I just had so many of them so worked up, because that's the best thing about rivalry in a series, right? You got 7 games, and after 7 games with this guy, he's just hitting you every time. I finish every check. Even if it's on Chara, I'm not moving him. I'm hitting you every time. By game 5 and 6, guys are whacking, taking penalties because they're frustrated at that point. Like this guy just will not stop. He will not stop, and that was the most fun I had playing hockey, that playoff run in my career, for sure.
You say anything back to him in the handshake line, or just shake your head?
No, I was taken back. I couldn't even believe I was ready to say, hey, good series, man. Like, I was so taken back.
Well, you're a real estate investor now, so you know how valuable that real estate space is, right? Rent free,
I'm still living, yeah.
No rent control over here.
Yeah, infinite return in that guy's brain, for sure.
You got anything else, Dave?
Give him a wrap.
Dude, thank you so much for coming down. Dale Weise, legend from the Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, Vancouver Canucks, Philadelphia Flyers, Chicago Blackhawks, Oskarshamm in the SHL, middle of Sweden. Beautiful spot. I've been there as well, by the way.
Beautiful.
Second-time guest. He was actually one of the first ever guests that we had with me and Pat Shaver doing the show, so it's good to see you 4, almost 5 years later now, my
Absolutely.
friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was excellent. I'm always open to come back. I got lots more stories.
Also, don't tell me. But you're doing a landscape business now, too. If anybody wants to reach out in the Winnipeg area for landscaping or for... Where do they find you?
Yes, we are 3 Seasons Landscaping. I've been in business for 43 years. We design, build, maintain. We do it all. We're a one-stop shop. We make it easy for you. It's not the one guy in his truck. We're a full-blown operation. We do work all over the city on the outskirts. If it's a good project, you can reach out to us. Instagram.
Residential and commercial.
Only residential.
Okay.
Only residential. We're working on the expansion of the commercial side, but only residential for right now. So be sure to hit us up. 3 Seasons.
And where do they find you personally if they want to reach out?
Yeah, I'm on social media. You find me on Instagram. Weise Dale. You put my name in, it probably pops up as the first one. So anybody can reach out to me. I'm pretty active on there. I respond to everybody. I don't ice anyone on there. So feel free to reach out.
Respond to my messages. So
Always. I've told you. I respond to everybody.
Well, congratulations not only on the hockey career, man, but I think the bigger congrats is the successful family that you have and those 4 beautiful children and that great wife. So God love you, man. You're doing it right.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I would say, when people ask what are you most proud of in your life, it'd definitely be my wife and my kids. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching Sling the Biscuit. We do new episodes every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 in the Prairies, 9 in the foothills of Calgary, 8 in the Pacific Northwest. I'm Travis Ridgen. That's Dave Wheeler. That's Dale Weise. Geez, tongue twister there.
Tongue twister.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.